How did Darth Vader really feel about Grand Admiral Thrawn? Two of some of the most iconic villains during the time of the Empire were no other than Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn. Although they do not appear together in any of the films or even in Star Wars Rebels together, they've actually had more than one encounter with one another, and this is actually explained in canon. However, let's just say their meeting isn't how you would have expected it to go. Let's get right into it. Towards the final year of the Clone Wars, Thrawn met no other than General Anakin Skywalker for the very first time. These two crossed paths on the planet of Batuu, which if you don't know is the same planet to the home of Disney's Galaxy's Edge. And to answer your question, no, Thrawn and Anakin did not build lightsabers together at Disney. But anyways, these two met for the first time completely by accident. They each had their own individual missions to do. Thrawn was on a mission to look for allies for a coming conflict, and Anakin on the other hand, well, he was searching for his wife Padme. Both Anakin and the Republic had lost contact with Padme, so he began his search for her. Now, this was a big shock to Thrawn, as it was the first Jedi he's ever met, and he's ever only heard about them in stories before. Knowing this, Thrawn decided to help Anakin locate Padme, and the two were successful. They gained a mutual respect for one another, and Thrawn really saw Anakin as a strong warrior. Vice versa, Anakin really admired Thrawn's tactics and his military strategies. They then separated their own ways, and Anakin returned to Coruscant, speaking very highly of Thrawn to Chancellor Palpatine. A few years later, during the early years of the Empire, Thrawn had been brought before Palpatine for the first time. To gain his attention, Thrawn mentioned to Palpatine that he served with Anakin during the Clone Wars. Palpatine begins to remember this and tells Thrawn that Anakin spoke very highly of him, and it was unfortunate that he died at the end of the Clone Wars. This of course hiding Anakin's true identity of Darth Vader. Ultimately, after this meeting, that is when Thrawn had first joined the ranks of the Empire. So now you're probably wondering, did Thrawn and Anakin ever meet again? Well, actually they did, but this time, Thrawn did not meet Anakin Skywalker, but instead he met Darth Vader. This all began with Palpatine feeling a disturbance in the Force on the planet of Batuu. Yes, the same exact place where Anakin and Thrawn met for the first time. I don't know about you, but I don't think this is much of a coincidence here. Anyways, Palpatine then sent Thrawn and Vader to investigate the situation. On the way to Batuu, Thrawn began to pick up on a lot of things about Vader. He noticed Vader's decision making and his military tactics. He began to think to himself, this is a whole lot like Anakin Skywalker here. Now, Thrawn had absolutely no fear of Vader, so he began to irritate him on purpose by constantly telling Vader that he reminds him of Anakin Skywalker and that the two were once together on this planet before. He even tried to get Vader to admit who he truly was. This began to anger Vader, so he informed Thrawn that Anakin Skywalker was in fact dead. Once they arrived on Batuu, they were invaded by two new freighters that just came out of hyperspace. Now, after defeating them, Thrawn wanted to make sure that they were captured instead of killed so he can learn of what their intentions were. Once they boarded, they learned these enemies were those of the Grisk species. The Grisk were an alien-like species that lived in the unknown regions. After searching the ship, Thrawn discovered that these aliens had kidnapped a group of Force-sensitive Chiss children. For those that don't know, the Chiss were Thrawn's species. Thrawn and Darth Vader then discovered that these Chiss children can actually use the Force to navigate ships through hyperspace. This special Force ability would allow them to navigate through the dangerous areas of the unknown regions. Now, this is where Thrawn's priority begins to shift. His priority now is to save any remaining Chiss children and on top of it, eliminate the rest of this kidnapping group. Now, this begins to make Vader question Thrawn's true loyalty and where his priorities really lie. He noticed that Thrawn is going out of his way from their original mission to save those of his same species and wonders to himself, would he choose his own people over the Empire? Shortly after, Thrawn asked Vader to help him rescue the remaining children and to use their Imperial forces to do so. Vader was very hesitant on this, but Thrawn convinced him that it wasn't all for the children, but more for the fact that the Grisk would be a threat to the Empire. Vader then agreed to help him, but he still had his suspicions about Thrawn. They then go on a rescue mission and fight up against larger Grisk forces. During their attack, Thrawn sent Vader to command the TIE Defender Squadron and attack their ships. This would finally be Thrawn's chance to see Vader fly. When they went to attack, he noticed quickly that Vader's flying techniques were identical to Anakin's. This basically confirmed to him who was really under the helmet of Darth Vader. They then rescued the children, and as they ended their mission, Thrawn approached Vader one final time. He said to Vader that he felt he owed him a favor because of some advice Anakin had made to him years ago during their first mission in the Clone Wars. Thrawn was basically referring Vader as Anakin in this situation. Vader quickly turned around and began to angrily speak at Thrawn, saying that he didn't care what Anakin said to him because he was dead. Vader then said that Thrawn should not worry about any favors to anybody, and instead, he should only be worried about serving the Empire. This made Thrawn realize that regardless of who was under that helmet, that was not the same man that Anakin Skywalker once was. Although it may be him in the flesh, these were two different individuals, and this was not the same courageous leader that Thrawn served with in the Clone Wars. Thrawn told Vader that he would never speak of his name again, but would always honor Anakin's legacy. Although Thrawn would never refer to him as Anakin again, he would always know deep inside who he truly was. I personally love this story, and I thought it was really cool to learn more about the relationship between Vader and Thrawn. I attached both the comic and the novel in the bio, where you can check these out and read them if you want. What do you think about their encounter together, and would you ever like to see the two of them again in future Star Wars content? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.